Hi, welcome back to Starcastic Remarks, and alongside just me here tonight, we are the official Dallas Stars podcast of THPN. Thank you to DraftKings Sportsbook for being our sponsor as always. Make sure you go and use that promo code THPN, and maybe the next time you are there, you can bet that the refs are going to unallow a goal. Well, the Dallas Stars lose 3-2 to the New York Islanders here tonight. And we got absolutely nothing to talk about, right? That's what I thought I was going to, I thought that was what it was going to be here tonight. I thought it was going to be a simple, little episode where we just, him and Han just be like, oh, gee Willikers and all this other stuff about, with 5-game winning streak is great and everything like that. And I much rather would have enjoyed the game if that is how it ended. So, but first things first, I'm going to give everyone a headphone warning just to make sure, because I at some point am going to explode, and it is boiling under my skin right now. And I tried to make this podcast as professional as possible. There are times when it just isn't. So I apologize for those who are looking for that kind of a reaction. Ardell, I know you're a big supporter of this podcast, and I hope you don't get upset at me when this all goes. But the first things first that I have to acknowledge before any of this is that I hope Romanov is okay. That's the first thing. I hope that he is 100% okay. I hate seeing that. I don't think it was done with malice. There's no way that Brantanen did that with malice in his heart, and that he was messed with on his way to the puck, and he was going forcefully to the puck, which is what his job is, and Romanov got in the way. So prayers to him first off, and I really, really hope that and pray that he's okay. The other thing I need to acknowledge is that Oettinger really needs to be better. Oettinger in this game was not good. And specifically on that second goal, that's what turned this game into what it ended up being, which was a 1-goal game late in the game. And the Stars played well. I'm not upset about the Stars, the play here this evening. However, let's go ahead and get to it. Let's go ahead and talk about it. I don't understand the ruling for the rest. I don't get it. It was the absolute worst call, and I don't get it. I don't understand how you can freaking call that a non-goal and you take away a point from our team. That's literally where we're at. It was not goalie interference, in my opinion. I understand that Robo was going through the crease, but he was pushed into him. He was 100% pushed into him, and then freaking crybaby big save Dave, who can't hold down a backup role on any team other than a team that plays nothing but defense, sits there and throws his head back and, oh, goodness me, and, oh, I'm going to completely just, BS this call. The guy was barely even freaking touched. Okay? The thing that makes me more pissed off than anything is the fact that the way that he reacted after that. He's like, oh, goodness sakes, I got my butt saved by the refs. That's what it was. This game should have been going to overtime, and now we were not given that choice to even come back in the game. It's a complete and utter terrible 100% call from the NHL. This is complete BS. And I'm going to be with some people over here in the chat and saying, this is where the NHL needs to get their heads out of their butts and actually freaking let the refs talk to the media. This is where something needs to be done. This is the call that needs to be explained. What the heck were they looking at? They obviously weren't looking at the same thing I was. It was BS. Complete and utter BS. I had to compose myself as I sit here and yell at a microphone and yell at the internet. I had to compose myself before I did anything, and I didn't know what to do, and y'all know I'm not one to curse and swear, so and I don't. So what I did is I took one of my kid's shoe, I went outside, and I threw it out the garage door. And I thought it would take one time. It did not take me one time. It took me 4 times. Me taking this shoe and throwing it at the garage door. I feel completely wronged here. I feel wronged, and I hope you can join me in my feeling right now. I'm simmering down now. I got that off my chest. Someone was asking me in Discord before we got on here, Ryan, from 1 to volcano, where are you at? And I'm like, volcano, here we go. And that's the other frustrating thing about this as well, this game, is that to my feeling, this was not the correct call. And I honestly, I would have been completely fine with a loss here tonight. Just ending it 3-2, just like that. Just, yes. Like, I would have been fine with that. And I would have felt probably a lot better than I do now. And I would be fine with a loss because the Stars have been utter ridiculous this last 2 weeks. And that's with all the injuries that they have. This is not right. This is not right. This is not the way the game should have ended. And there needs to be an explanation by the league on this goal. So that I don't know what that explanation needs to be, but it needs to be a non Twitter post reaction or explanation, because this is exactly one of the reasons why we need to see the refs being asked questions by the media at the end of the game. Specifically one of these games like this, where it just seems like there was nothing going on and blah, 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 blah. And then all of this crap happens. So from what I saw, now that I'm simmering down after all of that, here's what I saw on that particular play. Riddick 100% tried to feint his way to goaltender interference, and the NHL gave it to him. The Stars were pushed into Robo was his ice was taken away, and he was slightly pushed into by I don't even know who it was at this point. I'll have to go back and said and look at the replay, but it looked like that Robo was slightly shoved in, and it looked like Robo was trying to get every bit of his effort to get out of the way of the play and of the goalie. And that's what I saw. That's what I believe. And Talis Lizzie, yep, Brian said it was good, Ryan. And I thought it was good. I thought it was a goal. And I don't think it in the long run, now that I'm actually thinking logically and all of my emotions are out, I'm hoping and praying to God that 1 point is not going to be the difference between the Stars, facing a certain team in the playoffs, or, being in the playoffs versus being out of the playoffs. I don't think that's going to be the issue, because the Stars are a good team. They're going to take care of their own, business and everything like that. But this one hurts. This one hurts because the Stars played well for the most part, didn't get any help from Oettinger tonight, and the Islanders got a little bit of help from the rest here this evening. So, okay, I was so ready to jump on to here that I didn't even pull up my game notes that I had going. So give me just a second to pull those up. But while I'm pulling these up, you guys let me know what you guys think about the goal, about the game in general, specifically anything throughout the game. I've got a couple of things that I'm definitely going to mention outside of the goal that wasn't a goal, I guess. And yeah, y'all just let me know. And the other thing about this too also is that they overturned it. So they not only did they say there was goaltender interference, but they completely reversed their decision based off of what they originally said. And I get it. It's easier just to call it a goal and look back at it and call and make the right call and everything like that. That it wasn't right. That wasn't the right call tonight. And this is why I like having this podcast, because for me it's a very different energy coming from a fan perspective than from a quote unquote media perspective. And I'm not saying anything about Brian or Sevi or any. I guess they said that it was goaltender interference. I'm going to be very curious what the guys from DLOS say about the call. I'm sure they're talking about it right now at the same time I am. I don't understand how you can look at that and see that it was a goal, or that it wasn't a goal, and call it goaltender interference. SDNGN 13778 Robos was going into the paint because he was freaking pushed into it. Ridiculous. Yep. That's what I believed too. And the only thing that I will say is I wonder if they're not even looking particularly at Robo's contact with Riddick, but I wonder if they're looking at his stick, because Robo's stick was technically the first thing that came into contact with Riddick. But regardless, Robo was still pushed in, and his stick is part of him. He was slightly pushed in by the Islanders defender. That's what I still will say. And the NHL world continues to not know what goaltender interference is. So again, y'all let me know. So let's get into some of these game notes. I still haven't pulled it up. It's right here. So going through my game notes here real quick. Kolyachonok, he debuts in his first game in a Dallas Stars uniform in a regular season game. I thought he played really well in the preseason. It's just they had a loaded blue line at the time. And then the news coming out of today is both Duchesne and oh my goodness, brain fart. Someone else was put on LTIR. Someone else was put on TLTIR on top of Dutchy. But this was done so that they can have space to pull up a sixth defenseman and have six healthy defensemen. Lyubushkin and Harley are both out with injuries. And this was Jamie Benn's first game. And that's the other thing that's really frustrating, is that this should have been a bigger celebration of not just Ben coming back into the lineup, but also a celebration of Razor and all of that stuff. And now anything that everyone's going to be talking about is the non-goal. So it's Otter versus Riddick in the game. I hope Riddick gets this is his last win for the regular season. That would be nice. Jamie Benn gets a really loud cheer for his first shift of the season at 17:40 remaining. I thought that was really cool. Bo Horvat at 16 minutes had a chance off the rush. And then after that, for a good long while, it was a lot of chances for Dallas. They controlled the puck for a majority of the first 7 to 8 minutes of the first period. Ritzkovian looked pretty good here tonight as well. We're going to talk about a flip side of that line here tonight as well that I want to get into. And we'll get to that here in a little bit. But Lindell had a shot in the high slot. He had a good shift with that top line with Wyatt Johnston and Mikko Rantanen. We saw Sam Steele start the game on that line, and about halfway through the game, more towards the end of the second period, we saw Jamie Benn put on that top line. And dare I say, I think he looked pretty decent. So I think we could plan to see that moving forward. Steele back on the fourth line and Jamie Benn put up on the first line, I would not be surprised to see that trio in the next game. Matthew Schaefer is everything that he is, being said about him. Everything about him is true. He is a fantastic defenseman, and one of the things that's really interesting to watch him do is he's very good defensively, but there were numerous times where he was just allowed to kind of break into the offensive zone just with the puck or without the puck or whatever. And he had a couple of chances throughout the game. The first chance I saw was at 9.5 minutes in the first period, excuse me. There was another good ozone shift by Ritzy's line, and I guess let's go ahead and stop it now because I've already talked about Ritzkovian twice in his line. The thing that negatively came out of this game with that line is they have got to figure out how to get out of their own zone and not spend a extended shift in their own zone. And they did that once with Miro and Essa on the back end, and they were scored on. And then they did it again towards the end of the second period. And it was a mixture of several different things. It was just they were not as hard on the puck in the defensive zone. And I get you're tired, but this particular, long shift, the first long shift that this trio had, that line, led to a goal for the New York Islanders. So that can't happen moving forward. They've got to figure out to not turning the puck over towards the end of their shift and getting the puck out of the zone more effectively when they realize that they're getting pinched in a little bit. And the other thing is that other teams are going to be looking at this. And if this line continues to stay together, they're going to use that as a weakness against that line. And anytime they see that line, whatever line is against them on the opposite side and their opponents is just going to go after them that way. And they're going to pin them in their own zone and they're going to expect to get a goal. So that's got to be something that Ritzkovian, Beck, and Bork kind of figure out better. Shots were 9-3 Dallas at 8 minutes, and that would change by the end of the first period. It ended 12-8, and then after some market corrections, it ended up being 10-10 when the second period started. But Callum Ritchie, the pick by Colorado, who was traded to the Islanders in return for Brock Nelson. That was the main piece that went to the Islanders. He's just as good as everyone says he is too. And then through the last, I think it was really the last 5 minutes of the first period, the Islanders started to push back. They let the game kind of simmer down a little bit after Dallas got their chances early on, and then they really started to push. And I was a little bit worried about that, but the Stars bent, but they did not break. So it was 0-0 after the first period. The start of the second period was boring. The first 5 minutes, there was nothing going on. Like, no joke, quite literally nothing going on. And it was just defense for both teams. And to the Stars' credit, they were playing the Islanders game. This is how the Islanders play. And but also, if you're looking at it from a positive aspect, with the defensemen that the Stars have in their lineup right now, especially their bottom three with Petrovic, with Kolyachonok, and with Capobianco, all three of those guys I thought had really good games here tonight, especially Petrovic. I was very, very impressed with Petrovic's game in the bottom three. And then also, I'll go ahead and throw this out here too. Bischel probably had one of his best games as a Dallas Star. That's my personal opinion, because there were numerous opportunities for him where he took advantage of the fact that he's the de facto number 3 right now, and he's playing excellently in both zones. He's taking the puck himself into the offensive zone. He's playing very, very well defensively. He's using his body and his weight and his frame without taking penalties. He doesn't take a penalty here this evening. That was very good to see as well. But I mean, I'm particularly looking to see what his time on ice was here tonight. 2034. He actually wasn't even number 3 here tonight in ice time. He was number 4, just barely under Alexander Petrovic, who had 21 minutes, 43 seconds time on ice here tonight. So that's a lot. for Alexander Petrovic. But again, all of the defensemen here tonight, I was very impressed with, and despite that, Kolyachonok and Capobianco played very limited minutes this evening. So anyway, getting back to my game notes, Petro had a couple of shots early in the second period. Well, about halfway through the second period. Ritzkovian has. This is where I kind of made notes about Ritzkovian. He's got to get that puck out of his own zone, and then literally like clockwork, the Islanders score. Richie scores on a cross-zone pass from the slot, and that pair along with Miro and Essa, and then the Ritzkovian line was out there for over a minute and a half. So that's something that's got to be fixed, and Dallas can't be, hemmed in their own zone for that long. At 8:59, there was another Dallas turnover at our own blue line by Kolyachonok. But Robo would come to the rescue. He would score off of a 3-on-1 rush. That's probably one that Dave Riddick would want back. But still, it was a great return pass by Sagan, who set him up. And then Robo also kind of started that play with a good D-zone poke check at the blue line. So it was a very good play overall by Robo, and Robo continues to be ridiculously hot. I mean, what is that? 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 goals now in 4 games. Like, that's utterly repulsively, disgustingly amazing. Like, it's just fantastic. This is where I made a lot of good defensive plays after that game-tying goal by Robo. I mean, good play by Kolyachonok, I wrote down. Great play by Capo. Capo has a point shot. Petrangelo. Petrovic blocks it out of play, and then he also had a high slot shot early on at about 4 minutes remaining. And it was a great board play by Benn, who kind of set up that play. And he was out there with Wyatt Johnston and Mikko. That was the first time I saw Jamie Benn out there with the top line. Steele tried a cram play. He's now currently on the 4th line at this point, and it was a great pass by Colin Blackwell to kind of set that up. And then, again, this is where the Ritzkovian line gets kind of hemmed in their own zone the final 2 minutes of the second period, and they survive. So going into the third period, and oh my goodness, we had no idea what was going to be happening in the third period. It goes 1-1. Capobianco, in the 17:42 mark of the third period, he catches a New York Islanders player on a breakaway. That was a great play by Capobianco there. So that's 2 good defensive plays within the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes of gameplay by Capobianco, or Coco Banana, as Lutz says. It started with a Steele giveaway in the Islanders zone, which I thought was very strange because Steele doesn't normally do that. He's very defensively responsible. Then a minute later, 16:48 remaining in the third, Bo Horvat, he gets his 11th goal of the season, I believe. It's 11th or 13th. And it was just a puck that just kind of trickles through from the back, kind of pops off the boards, goes between Otter's stick, glove combo, blocker combo, and his pad, and he just tips it right towards him. And that's one that Oettinger is going to want back, and that was not fantastic on Otter. That was the turning point of the game for me. And I know I yelled and screamed and went all boo-hooey at the beginning of this episode talking about the goal, obviously, the Wyatt Johnston non-goal. But that's one that Oettinger can't allow. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up our latest comment from Natalie here. Natalie saying, why is Otter allowing so many bad goals? Is it just him having trouble adjusting to the new system? And I'll go ahead and ask this next question too, because she just put this up too. Is Otter the biggest problem right now? Is Otter's biggest problem right now is that he is just reacting slow? Natalie, I don't know the answer to that, to be completely honest with you. I think that I don't even think it's a system change, to be completely honest with you, Natalie. What I think it is, it's just a life change for for Jake Oettinger. Like he recently got married within the last year and a half, and now he's got a baby. And I wonder if he's just trying to adjust to that. I mean, that is that seems silly to be, using. I'm not saying his child is a problem, so don't start doing that, internet, and start saying that that's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that as a dad myself, and I'm fixing to have my fourth kid on the way, it is very much a huge transition in your life when you have your first kid. And I don't, just because he is a professional athlete does not make him superhuman or a god or anything like that. Like it's a transition in his life, and I really truly believe that that's probably the biggest factor, because it used to be that it was just hockey and his fiance. That's all that he had to worry about. And then enters a little ball of flesh that is a child that you are now supposed to take care of. That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. And I wonder if that's something that he's dealing with. And to be fair, Lizzie is also correct. Otter has been mediocre way before this. Stop with the excuses. That's true. That's true. But what I'm also saying, Lizzie, is I don't think that this helps. If that's the way that you're going, he has been completely mediocre this whole season, and now everyone's was talking about before the season started of could Ottinger maybe take away that net from Connor Hellebuck for Team USA at the Olympics. If he continues to play like this, I don't even know if he's going to be the backup, to be honest with you, because Jeremy Swayman is back up to par, playing pretty well, way better than he was last year. If Otter is not careful, he might be the number 3 and maybe never see the ice in for the Olympics, which some Stars fans are like, yes, we don't want to see him hit the ice. No, we don't want him to get hurt. But still, like that, if he really wants to get on Olympic ice and play for his country, right now his play has got to be better. And I know all the yelling, screaming, and all of that stuff that I did at the beginning of the podcast. The biggest takeaway for me, other than that terrible call by the NHL, is Oettinger has got to be better. And even on the third goal, like we got to have a save. You got to get a save at some point. And Oettinger has had periods in his career where he's been able to give the Stars that save, and right now he's not doing it. I always use this analogy because it's true, and it's the same feeling that I had when it was a 3-on-1 going the opposite way during the Stars double minor power play that they had. It reminded me of when, and I'm dating myself a little bit for some of you young whippersnappers, when Antti Niemi and Kari Lehtinen were in net for the Dallas Stars. And I think it was the 15-16 season when that happened. And it felt like, despite the Stars being able to completely outscore their problems, if it was a rush chance the other way, it didn't matter who was in net, whether it was Niemi or whether it was Lehtinen, it was going in the back of our net. And I got that same feeling tonight on that rush chance. And that's sad, because I haven't felt confident about Oettinger being able to make a save for a majority of the season. Now, I will give him credit. There was one, where was it? I'm trying to remember. I think it was after the Stars made it 3. I can't remember. It was very soon after a goal, and I didn't even write this in my notes. But Oettinger made a decent save, and it was a possible scoring chance, but it wasn't a high danger scoring chance, as what I'm saying on this particular play. Ottinger's got to be better. He's got to be better, and that's where I'm at. That's the biggest takeaway out of this game, if I'm specifically looking at just the Stars and what they need to be able to do. the decor was fantastic tonight. 100% fantastic considering who they had in their lineup. And that's nothing against Kolyachonok and Petrovic and Capobianco. But those three guys have mostly been playing in the AHL the last 3 to 4 years. And they come up today. They all make brilliant plays off. And in Petrovic's case, he made some great plays offensively and defensively. Petrovic and Kolyachonok had some really good defensive plays themselves. And the Stars are not able to capitalize on a game like this. It is not going to be a perfect game from those call-ups every single game for the next 3 or 4 games until we hope to get somebody back. So this feels like a game lost in that particular case. The Stars should not have been down 2-1. And maybe that's harsh. Maybe that's unfair, but it's a fact. And I think a lot of people are going to feel that way after this game here tonight. That's definitely something that I feel. So unrevoked. Let's see. Just got recommended the stream. Isles fan here. That was probably game of the year. I was shaking in my boots facing the Stars because y'all are amazing, but we scratched it out. And seriously, unrevoked, I really, really, really hope that Romanov is okay. I'll say it one more time just for you, even though I already said it on the stream. Rantanen did not do that out of spite or, trying to destroy somebody. It's one of those hockey plays where something bad goes wrong. And I hope to God that he's okay. I really, truly do. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping things up here. So let's do our biggest winner, biggest loser of the game here tonight. The biggest winner, there's a lot you could go with. You could go with Robo, which that seems to be redundant in the last 4 games, but you could go with him. But just because I was pleasantly surprised with how the Stars played defensively here this evening, I'm going to go with the entire decor. Essa and Miro were fantastic. They both were way overplayed here tonight. Miro, I think, had almost 28 minutes time on ice here. That's to be expected with everyone that's out. Essa continued to do his thing. But the other 4 really surprised me a lot. And again, not trying to say anything about them, but Bischel stepped up huge here tonight. Petrovic stepped up huge here tonight. And then the bottom pairing of Kolyachonok and Capobianco, they were fantastic here tonight. There were a couple of plays that Capobianco had, if I'm being honest, that I didn't like the play that he decided to do, but it didn't cost the Stars in any way. So I kind of gave him a pass for that. So, but he made 2 incredible defensive plays, which are way more important than some of the ozone, puck plays that he had here tonight. So I'm going to give him a pass on that. But that's my biggest winner here tonight is the decor as a whole. All 6 of the guys were just fantastic tonight, and I just hope we get another effort like that out of these guys moving forward, because that was fantastic. And I feel a lot better about the defense with all of the guys the Stars have out right now. They have Nils Lundqvist, who is out. I have no idea when he's coming back. Lyubushkin, to be honest with you, I should have been looking at this before I jumped on the stream here, but I'm assuming that he's going to be out for, I think if I remember, it's day to day. Harley is week to week. He was shut down by the team because of an upper body issue and something that he had been dealing with the previous 3 to 4 games. They're really going to miss those guys, but that's the biggest winner here tonight is all 6 of the decor. The biggest loser here tonight, and I'm going to refrain from continuing on, but Jake Oettinger. Jake Oettinger is the biggest loser here tonight. From a Stars perspective, you're looking at the Stars. Oettinger was not their best player tonight, and he was the weakness here this evening. And we needed a save on that 3rd goal, and that second one should have never even made it to the front of the net. So that's where I'm at with him. He's my biggest loser. Last question, because I think it's a logical one. Is there a chance Miko gets suspended from that hit? I don't know. If I had to make a prediction, and it's going to sound very biased, I'm going to say no. But you could also say that he kind of went in there recklessly going after the puck. And I could see, especially the Patrick Waugh, crybaby Waugh, making an argument for that, saying that he went in there recklessly and blah, 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 blah. But for me, there were players in Rantanen's way. He was trying to get around the players. It was a 1-goal game Yes, it was a 1-goal game at that point with 30 seconds remaining in the game. And he's a gamer. He's a gamer. He's going to give his full effort through all 60 minutes. And I don't think he will get suspended for it. I truly don't know. I'm leaning towards I don't know and no. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure there will be Islanders fans who will be calling for it, but I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible. But I went back and watched that particular clip after I went and threw my kid's shoe at the garage door 4 times, and that seemed to be my thought process from a logical standpoint after I got all of my hockey fan emotions out of my brain. And from an analytical standpoint, that's what I thought. That was just me. So, okay. Thank all of y'all so much for following along with me here this evening and allowing me to have my therapy session, as I call it. Then you'll all get some. Whether it be you feel the same way I do, or you get to see a Stars fan just absolutely lose his mind. Because I'll be honest, I enjoy Steve Dingle when he loses his mind with his team, and it is fun. It really is fun to watch him lose his mind sometimes, especially right now. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate y'all. There's even more of you who are listening afterwards who are not listening live. If you're listening on YouTube, watching on YouTube, make sure you click like and subscribe. You hit that notification bell so that you never miss an episode of Starcastic Remarks. If you're listening on the audio side, please consider leaving us a 5-star review wherever that may be, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever. We'd appreciate that and helping us grow. Join the Who Cares Club, $5 a month to help us keep the lights on here and pay the bills for all the things that we have going on. These episodes are going to be a little bit more frequent now that part of my job is kind of tampering down a little bit. There's less time devoted to the job, which is kind of nice. But alongside nobody else here tonight. I really wish I had somebody else here like Chris or James to kind of talk me off the ledge a little bit. But alongside nobody else, my name's Ryan. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. And I truly hope that Romanov is okay. And I hope that all of you have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening. Go Stars.